Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. There I am. Where did I go? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. I have two very special guests here today, Colleen and Miles. They are here to talk about planetary activation and the Galactic Federation and all things galactic. This is the first time they're coming here onto the show, and I'm so excited to introduce them to you. Welcome, Colleen and Miles.
Welcome. Hello.
We're happy to be here, Cornelia.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you. So, part of what we're talking about here today is we're living in a world of uncertainty. And both of you, Colleen and Miles from the Planetary Activation Organization, are here with us today to share some of your galactic knowledge with us. For years, we have been living in the midst of an information war, under constant attack of relentless barrage of misinformation. Those of us who are awake find it a persistent challenge to get through an ordinary news day, much less to deal with all the looming uncertainties of our present future. We must keep in mind that the Galactic Federation never failingly watches over us. A greater cosmic plan is in its place, and every being residing on Gaia is part of it. So today we're talking about the Galactic Federation. Some people may have never heard of the Galactic Federation. They may not even know what the Galactic Federation is and what's going on. I think it would be wonderful, Colleen, if you would just give us a little bit of background about your work and about what you've been doing to assist in your own awakening, but then also assist many others in their awakening process over the last 20 plus years. I mean, this has been ongoing for lifetimes, but here we are, at this stage of the game in our evolution, and you are here to share that wisdom with us today. So what you been up to?
Well, I had one of those dramatic wake-ups in 1993. So I was real fortunate that it was fast and swift and took me out of the corporate world and right into the spiritual world. So that was pretty awesome. And it was like overnight, basically. And then I met Sheldon and Miriam, his wife at the time. And then I just knew, well, I was invited to, I'll tell that story. So I was invited to a meditation, and I had been going there for about 3 weeks. I was really new to everything, all spiritual paths. And I was still working corporate, and had the fingernails and the high heels and that whole scene. And then I walked into the meditation, and now there were 40 people in the living room. And I'm like, oh, okay, now what? And Sheldon was there with Miriam, his wife at the time, to give a presentation all about the Galactic Federation, the Ascension. And in that experience, the whole room disappeared, and it was just Sheldon, Miriam, and myself, and we created a triangle, and my head opened up. It's how I experienced it, and all these light codes came in. I did not know the word light code at the time, so then it was more like geometric, colorful symbols came pouring into my head. And then I knew things that the day before I didn't know. And so that was my dramatic wake up. And then I became really close with Miriam, and we were best friends for a very long time. And then she and Sheldon got divorced, and then she went to Mount Shasta to live, and she said, "You need to drive him around." And so I went, "Oh, great. What am I going to do with Sheldon?" But because I was a little in awe of him. And but anyway, it ended up to be a wonderful thing. And then we ended up together, and Miriam and her partner moved to Hawaii. We all moved to Hawaii together. And so that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago now. And so I helped Sheldon along, Miles did too. He was from the very beginning. We created the Planetary Activation Organization, and it was to prepare the planet for first contact with our galactic community. So that was basically our mission to do. And so I put out a newsletter about 5 to 6 days a week where I highlight writings that I do or Miles or other people to introduce our community to new people or just the latest messages. And and then we also do a monthly webinar where we interview people like you, Cornelia.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow, that's quite a story. It was nice hearing it spoken out like this. And let's just also say, you guys, what's the name of your website, real quick?
Planetary Activation Organization, but it's PAOWEB.com.
So, and the reason why I wanted to say that is because there is so much content on that website, so much information on that website that they've been working on for years and years and years and years, that it's there. There's like a living library of information that's there. So if you're looking to wanting to learn about what we're talking about here today and other things, I'm sure that you will find something there that's going to spark your interest. So we'll give the information in a little while about the newsletter and also the webinars again, so that people can join you. But let's hear from Miles. Miles, welcome to the show today.
Oh, it feels great to be here, Cornelia.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you. So what about you? What have you been up to the last 20 years? So Colleen said that you had been with Sheldon from the beginning, Sheldon Neidl from the beginning. And so that's been quite a while ago, quite a long time ago.
Well, I've always believed that if you're in the flow and the universe is looking after you, you'll find your best path in life. And in 1989, I met a gentleman at a cultural congress who was a piano player, and I was there as a saxophone player and musician. And somehow through the good fortune, we met and realized that we were able to improvise music together. So he was from LA and I'm from Canada. So I went down there in the early 90s, and there was a book on his bed that I looked at called Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak. I'd never even heard of channeling or anything like that. I was always into more traditional forms of spiritual paths, or maybe Sufi type paths, that type of thing. What's this? I thought, channeling? What the heck is that? And so I got really interested in that. And there's a really big metaphysical store here where I live in Vancouver, Canada. And I went there, and this book kind of fell off the shelf called You Are Becoming a Galactic Human. Says, wow, that's interesting. Got to read that. So I went home and I read that, and I read it 6 times, and something really resonated with that book. But it seemed like there's got to be more. Like what are the people who wrote this book actually doing? I thought. So I somehow managed to mention it to a good friend of mine who was in Bellingham, Washington, and that very week he was there, he was sitting in a restaurant, and there was a sign up saying You Are Becoming a Galactic Human meeting. Oh. So coincidence? Who knows? Anyway, he went to the meeting and he taped it, and I heard the tape, and I said, I got to have more of this. So I went to the what existed of their website, and it hadn't been updated for a year. So I contacted the people who were at the PAO, and I said, "Could I do your website?" And they said, "Sure." So I did,
Okay, that's how you
and,
did.
and I that's how I got involved, and I started realizing, oh, I have a place with this organization.
Yeah.
And since then, I've always basically been the one who's done all the graphics. I've come up with a lot of the concepts. Like for Sheldon, I used to come up with the different subject headings, and then he would do the webinar based on that, because that seemed to be something I was good at. And then with the webinars, I do the questions and the graphics, and then Colleen does all the promotion. And so, like, we work together and talk over ideas and basically try to invite really exciting guests to our webinars, because when Sheldon 5 years ago was unable to continue because he was too ill, and now he's living in a place where they can look after him because Colleen can't. We had to kind of say, okay, can we do to represent the PAO and the Galactic Federation now? So we basically, over the last 5 years, managed to have monthly webinars with really exciting guests, and this is where we stand today. And thanks to you, we're trying to grow and spread our information to more people. And so we're so grateful that you are helping us do that.
Well, it's what a story, and what the paths that you all led and created and joined. It's just amazing, the things that showed up for you, and how it all came together. And so, I had heard of Sheldon Neidl. It was back in the day, back in the day. So that was probably in 2009 or 2008, something like that. So, you mentioned the word, you are becoming a galactic human. So, do you want to tell us, Miles, what does it mean to be a galactic human? Because would you say now, you're going to tell us what does it mean to be a galactic human, but would you say now that you are a galactic human?
I think I always was a galactic human, but we didn't know it. And when I was a kid, my mother once told me, I think Christ is a spaceman. And I think that started the questioning and making me feel the feeling of wonderment about, oh, there's more to life than just uh, riding my bicycle. So, uh, becoming a galactic human, and I'm sure Colleen can say this in a different and elaborate in her way too, is uh, we talk constantly about being star seeds, that we always feel like most of us have reincarnated here or come here from another planet. And basically, we're here kind of as way showers to sort of help people awaken to the fact that there's more to life than just the third dimensional type of life where you're in debt slavery with trying to make money and servicing government requirements. So we feel that being a galactic human is a way to becoming into higher consciousness. And I think Sheldon's main thrust was that to become a galactic human, you're raising your consciousness on this planet and learning how to become more of a higher dimensional being. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we're part of a gigantic experiment here, and we're having to learn how to become galactic humans as part of this experiment. And it ain't easy because we're fighting the right brain, left brain uh, conundrum all the time. We're always battling that. Uh, can we trust what we feel rather than the confinement we have to having to follow rules all the time? So I think I'm learning. I don't know. I don't know about all of you listeners and you, Colleen and Cornelia, but I've noticed that the frequencies have changed recently. we're in a higher kind of frequency. And the random factor, which I constantly talk about, is our ability to tune in more to what our true mission is here, and that we're able to kind of go with the flow. And I'm finding more and more, like even in small ways, magical things are happening in our lives that kind of give us signposts that these are truly higher frequencies working for us. So we have to open ourselves to that and not be controlled by mandates and rules and trying to fit in and be like everybody else. We have to truly trust and find our own sovereignty. So I guess that's a long-winded explanation of what I feel is what is being a galactic human.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Colleen, do you want to have a have an answer on that one as well, or
Sure.
do you want to just agree with Miles?
Well,
Because
I agree, but I'll add my 2 cents.
add your 2 cents.
So that was Sheldon's first book, You're Becoming a Galactic Human. And basically, we're Earth humans, meaning limited conscious, and galactic humans are fully conscious. So we're becoming galactic humans. We're returning to be galactic humans that humans already were. Humans are really from the and further, the fifth and dimension and further up. And the 3D is when where our DNA was zipped up. So there's 12 strands of DNA. Well, we'll go with the 12 strands at first, because then there's 12 onto that and 12 onto that as you go up the ladder of dimensions. But so we'll just go with the first one to fifth dimension. So there's 12 strands. And what the Anunnaki, well, really it was the Atlanteans, but with the Anunnaki, they zipped up our DNA and only left us 2 strands, which lowered our consciousness. That's the fall in consciousness. That's, the Adam and Eve fall even. And so what we're doing is we're reestablishing that bundle of DNA activation. That's what we're here to do. And as the frequency raises on the planet, because we're getting all this energy from the central sun, from our sun, from the galactic core, from heaven, and it's to change us, our frequency and our DNA, to activate the DNA. Everybody on the planet at the time that planet Earth makes her transition will make their transition as well. And I think we're here to help everyone make the transition.
Excellent, excellent. So, all right. So here we are. Uh, we've identified that what galactic humans that we are the galactic humans. We've identified that, and what does it mean? And let's talk about the Galactic Federation now. And what is the Galactic Federation? Do you want to talk about that, Colleen, and
Sure.
start there? What is the Galactic Federation?
Well, the Galactic Federation, it's a union that was created over 4 million years ago by various stellar civilizations in this galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And its divine purpose is to act as physical angels needed to carry out the divine fate prophesied long ago for our Milky Way galaxy. And so the Galactic Federation, they actually are working for Prime Creator and his divine plan. And they're here to help us, just to help us, not to do it for us, no rescue, none of that, but to help us along the way. And this union was created about 4 million years ago, like I said, and it's got over 200,000 star nations and we're just talking about the Milky Way galaxy, our galaxy. And they use fluid group dynamics, which is a non-hierarchical and goal-oriented. And so what they do is they share all their talents, their leadership, and it's constantly in flux and in motion, fluid group dynamics. So let's say, oh, all of a sudden we're going to do something on YouTube. Well, Miles is the one. I don't do technology, so Miles would step in, and then maybe it's about a certain storyline. Then I step in, and so that's how the Galactic Federation works. They use fluid group dynamics. And their headquarters is in the Lyra, some people call Lyra constellation, and more specifically Vega. So all humans actually come from there. We're not indigenous to planet Earth. So actually we all are star seeds, technically. But also the way we use the word star seed is the ones that on a certain planet, like for me, it's the Syrian planetary system, then I made a decision from there to come here and be a star seed, meaning that I hold a different frequency than the people who have been on planet Earth and doing the reincarnation wheel over and over again. I've only been here 4 times. And so but I've had lots of lives. I'm an elder and all that kind of stuff. But on planet Earth, I really haven't had that many lives. So
Yeah, so that's really interesting, and which is when you were talking about how the Galactic Federation works through the fluid groups, is what you were saying, right? Fluid groups, and so this is then another way, another reason why. Um, no, that's not the point I want to make. There's several things I want to say, so bear with me just one second. So the galactic humans that we are, part of the reason for that is because we've been to many other solar systems in the galaxy, in the universe. We've been to many, and we came here to incarnate on Earth to transcend this Earth and help and release the old Earth to bring our mastery and our wisdom to this planet, right? And to help raise the frequency, to volunteer our time and our energy and our resources as masters to bring this here, which again means we are those galactic humans coming in from other places when we reincarnated here. So that's another reason why we are galactic humans, and remembering we're galactic humans. That's my 2 cents. So I just wanted to add that in. And then when you were talking about the Galactic Federation working through you and also Miles through the fluid groups with, you doing the webinar piece, presentations or whatever, and Miles doing the technical work on YouTube and other technical things. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I was giving an example of how we are equal, but we take the job that is necessary instead of, I'm the manager and I do everything.
Right.
And
yeah.
hello, I'm over here, the worker who actually knows how to do the job.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Galactic Federation doesn't do all that, and there's no competition. There's no real competition. It's just easy flowing and honoring each person for their gifts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Miles, would you like to chime in?
Well, the one thing that's really interesting, and we get asked a lot, is why didn't Sheldon get beamed up to a ship and saved because of his physical difficulties on Earth when he basically couldn't work anymore? One of the things I remember he told us was that our frequencies don't match the frequencies of a ship, of a Galactic Federation ship. We wouldn't be able to handle the difference between our energy vibration and their energy vibration. We haven't closed the gap yet to do that. Maybe when they were children and they first went up in the ships, and that's what was part of the You Are Becoming a Galactic Human book, where they talked about their his experience as a child on uh, on a ship. Maybe young kids are closer in frequency to being fully conscious, and then when they absorb all of the what's happening as they grow into adulthood on Earth, that frequency becomes coarser and further away from a compatible frequency. So I always found that interesting, and sometimes I wish that we could just have a mass landings, because on in front of every one of Sheldon's webinars, he always said the key is to the mass landings. He said that in front of every one of his webinars. But in order for us to get there, our frequencies have to be raised. So people who wonder why haven't they come, why aren't we being rescued, for example, because we can't be rescued until our frequencies are raised, until we're ready. We have to be ready first. So,
Well,
uh,
well, I think that we have raised our frequency, those of us that are awake and are embodied, are holding that frequency now. It's just, do we have enough people? Many people awake now, to hold that, to be in that frequency, because really, the evolution shows, when Sheldon was doing his teachings during that time, which was again way before its time. It was, out there long, all of it was highly evolved teachings. And here we are, 2023, and we have evolved, we have risen, we have, raised our frequencies, we've raised our vibration. So, but do we have enough people now? That's what I'm curious about. Is there enough people that are awake, that are holding the frequency now? Even just over the last couple months, we had so much new energy coming in that was just energy off the charts. Wouldn't you agree with that, Miles?
yeah, I think what's happened, um, the people who use the recent mandates, the health mandates, to blanket the world with control and to try to create rules that everyone follow to manifest compliance. What happened, I think, is a lot of people at one time bought that, and so they were compliant. But since then, more and more people who are telling the truth, and because of the more and more freedom of social media, a lot of people are starting to say, question the narrative. And so I think that I've noticed around me, a lot of people are so conditioned to follow rules and create rules that they basically are trapped in that kind of system. And it's like, at a certain point, you want to get off the merry-go-round. You have to sort of say, okay, enough is enough. This isn't working. Let's look in another direction. Let's get out of our left brain and go into our right brain and trust our intuition, trust what we were born with, trust our sovereignty. And that's, I believe, happening, but it's not happening like dramatically. It's happening gradually.
So, Colleen, so going back to the Galactic Federation, um, why are they here right now, and how are they helping us?
I wanted to say one more thing, though, why they can't come yet.
Okay.
We have to be at peace. Our world has to be united and at peace. So that's another reason they can't come until that has happened. So one of the things that President Trump did when he first was elected in 2016, he went around the world and he started brokering peace. Now, we don't have it yet, but he's laid the work and it will come into fruition at the right time. Obviously, not enough of us are ready yet, but the way I see it is people are waking up every day. You can see it. And then if you go on TikTok or I'm kind of new to all that and Instagram, and see the young people and what they're saying so quickly, and everything's real fast for them, and just sound bites and all. But I'm like, oh wow, they're more awake than I thought. And then my son, I use him as a barometer. He's fairly awake, but he talks to a lot of people who aren't. I only talk to people like us. That's my job. So that's, I mean, I can go to a store and just have a normal person, but really I'm not around very many normal people, earth dwellers. And I'm around star seeds mostly. And what was I going to say? So the Galactic Federation, how have they helped us? Well, one of the ways is, there's a lot of times there's this an earthquake, and then there should be a tsunami, especially like in Haiti and in Japan. And there was going to be a tsunami, always comes after, and there's no tsunami, which would devastate that island. Well, they've helped that. They couldn't stop the earthquake or the man-made earthquake, but they worked with the elementals, and they stopped the tsunami. They can do that because we have to have some of the experiences. If they stopped everything, then we wouldn't even know that anything needs to be uncovered and realized. And what are some of the other ways? Nuclear has not been allowed. Believe me, we would have nuked our whole planet by now, I think.
Even right now, I want to talk about, the nuclear piece, because that's like all over, especially, a lot of the energy that's being talked about. That word keeps coming up, different places.
I
Nuclear.
never worry about it because I know it won't happen.
Good. So that's the part to bring. And that part right there brings peace.
Yes.
That part right there, to know that that's not going to happen. That's not what's going to happen on this planet. And when you're talking about the Galactic Federation, that's probably how they're helping stabilize in the unseen, because that will not take place. Here's the whole thing about the way I look at how we've evolved as a human race is, we've done extraordinary in waking up and remembering who it is that we are. And part of the reason why uh, nobody is coming in to save us is because we can save ourselves.
That's right.
We're doing it ourselves, and we're accomplishing things on this planet right now that has never been done before. And that is absolutely extraordinary work, to the point where it's like royalty. This is the kind of work we've achieved as awakened starseeds, awakened mastery, because we're bringing all our gifts from all the other places that we've been to, and we're bringing them here. So, when we're talking about the Galactic Federation, that's one thing, right? The way that they're helping with making sure that there's no nuclear attack.
That's huge.
That
alone is huge.
That alone is huge. So that's how they're helping us.
That's, and another way that they're helping us is they're not going to allow a holographic fake invasion. That's been tried at least 8 times. And it's been stopped every time. And they know it. They know that they're not allowed to do that. But, they meaning the cabal, and they continue to do whatever they hope they can get away with. But one of the things why this is so important, our planet and what's happening, is when you said something like, "Oh, this has never happened before." Earth was a 5th dimensional being. And then she had to fall into 3D. And then she's raising back up to 5D. That's never happened before. Now, there's been civilizations on a lower, like a 3D planet, and they go up into the 5th dimension. But never has there been the start at 5D and above and fall and then go back up. So that's one of the reasons that this is so unique. And that's why we're all kind of doing it by the seat of our pants in a way, because there's no precedent really for all the things that we're experiencing.
That's so true. We don't have the roadmap. We're new on the job, if you will. We've got plenty of experience, but we're new on the job.
We
So
have we have to remember too that for many, many years there's been a kind of controlling element trying to control people on Earth, a dark element. And the Galactic Federation, from some of the guests we've had, they're mentoring some of the people who are fighting against that. And we can't possibly expect to know what they're doing, because if we did, we'd spill the beans about the surprise that's going to happen where they finally bust the system. So in order to bust the system, it's like I use the word a sting, where they blindside the bad guys. And when that happens, because they're cocky and they think they can't lose, all of a sudden, one day there's going to be a turnaround, and there's going to be a moment or an event where somehow, through the mentoring of the Galactic Federation and those of in are able to help Earth, who have the ability and the power to do that, are going to bring the light to squash the dark. That's how I think it's going to go down.
well, that's interesting. With right now with the evolution and how everything is unfolding in these uncertain times. The more that we stand in our sovereignty and in our curiosity, the more that we can hold that energy and be those peace beacons that we are, being neutral and holding that space. We are anchoring in a new way of living and a new way of being, and that is also helping so many others as well. And what I wanted to ask you about is, with the Galactic Federation, do they have any contact with honest world leaders? Uh, are they working together with them?
Yes, they're they're in contact with the good ones and the bad ones. They're in contact with all of them, and they're not cooperating most of the time until more recent, the last few years.
Who's
Really,
not cooperating? Who's not cooperating?
any of the leaders of planet Earth.
Oh, is it all because of egos, or
Well, and they're part
everybody's
of
got their own
they're part
agenda?
of Satan. They're part of the Satan cult.
Oh,
So, yeah. So, you know, there are good leaders, but usually, whenever there's a good leader, what have we seen? The cabal goes in and destroys it and puts in their own person. So, there's a lot of cleanup that's taking place right now because, you know, we're in the 4D, we're in fourth dimension. And what happens in the 4D is everything that's been hidden comes up for reveal.
hmm.
So that's what we're doing right now. So we know that we are moving along because we're in fourth dimension, because that's when everything comes up for us to review and go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that that was happening. Well, what are you going to do about it now that you know? And so that's our next job, is to say, no, we're not going to, that's why uh, they always say, act locally, but think globally. So we need to be more active in our communities. And I mean, I don't have school children anymore, but if I did, I'd be at those school boards because of what's happening to the education. So we need to become active citizens. And
Yeah.
that's another thing that they're waiting for us to become more and more involved.
Yeah, to get, and part of not only that, but it's also to get our light out there and bring our light out there. And again, Miles used the word earlier, and that is to model and be the example, so that we're way showing the way. We're showing the way that this is how we do it. This is how it is, because you can again shine your light, radiate, and anchor that peace. You know what it's like when you meet somebody and they just have an ease and a calm about them, and you just really enjoy being in that energy field. That kind of thing, where you bring your wisdom and your peace and your anchoring and to the local community. I personally have been involved in the local community now, big time, for the last 6 months, and got my energy out there. And so I'm certainly feeling that it is making a difference. And being out there, it's helped me a lot too, because for the last, I want to say, uh, 13 years now, after being online for 13 years, just on a computer screen, and only doing this work on a computer screen, with doing the work that we're doing on the computer online, and then to get back locally into the community and get involved in the community, has really moved my spirit too, and opened my heart too, because that human interaction that we all desperately need, to interact with each other, and to be there with each other, to connect from the heart. And I didn't realize how much I missed it, and it certainly has been awesome in that way. So one of the other things I wanted to say, Miles, is you used the word, I can't remember, but it had to do with, you know, we don't know what move is going to be played next. It has to be, which of the checkmates is going to be played next, because we can't, it can't be announced what's going to happen next. We can't know it, because again, um, it's all about to unfold organically, so that nobody's involved in it, trying to spill the beans or give too much information or whatever. And one of the things, even in my own life, working as in mastery, and learning that the best strategy that I could use many times, at times where I felt attacked personally, is spontaneous action. Spontaneous action. So, when I would feel like I want to take action, but it would come spontaneously, and that is where I could claim my power again. After any type of interference of any kind, is to come at it from a spontaneous place, not from a logical place. So I just made that connection with what you were saying, Miles. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned when I'm troubled by everything is I become a starseed in my heart. And like to, I know when we come back from getting acupuncture, we come over a bridge. And as we come over the bridge, we're facing north and we see the ocean and the mountains. And then I see all the high rises and the cars, and I say, this isn't real. This doesn't make any sense. These cars, these high rises. And then I that's when I know I'm in tune with my starseed part. And then I think to myself, you've got to be a galactic anthropologist. You've got to look at it through the eyes of a person who's here from another planet, watching and observing, and not being emotionally identified with the situation. Just be neutral, go with the flow, and realize that we are on a path, an evolutionary path of raising our consciousness. And you just have to go in the flow, jump in. You don't need to have paddles in your boat to go to a proper place on the ocean. If you just surrender to it, and it'll take you where you're supposed to go. And I kind of look at life that way, like open for what I call the random factor. The random factor is that you can't plan every part of your life. You can't just do everything and be compliant and think that you're going to force everything into place. It's better to have a lot of space where you can allow for the unexpected, because that's when you're getting things in life happening for your highest good. If you close that off and you only allow things to happen based on a plan, it's not going to work as well, because you're not letting that spontaneity open up, your heart open up to what's best for you. So these are the things I've learned and try to follow when I can, and it ain't easy.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I like that. You also brought in the word spontaneous, to really to again, to be led by our intuition and our spontaneity, and not have so many things planned out, because we're co-creating not from the logic mind, but we're co-creating from the heart, and the heart has to have that. Um, you have to have space. I love being in the void. When we're in the void, I love being in the void. I also love being in an empty room. When it's empty, it's not filled with anything, and you can just go in there, and it's just open. And so we how are we going to co-create our new earth together now? That's the part, because these next years are, I was looking at 2023, 2024, and 2025 as the time period now where so many things are falling apart. The year of demolition, 2023, things are falling apart, the old structures, and while we're simultaneously co-creating the new. And those of us that have been on the path for a long time, we we're ready to get to building. We're ready to get to go into and be in our communities. We're ready for the people. And so that was the thing, because we had been holding the frequency so long, holding the energy, holding. So what do you say about what can we do personally now to navigate and combat this uncertain time, these uncertain times, Colleen?
Well, I unfortunately was sick for the last 10 months, and that's a long time.
Yeah.
It was extremely long time for me because I'd never been sick more than a week at a time. But so I didn't even have time to pursue a lot of the things that I want to. And what I realized is that what I thought I was going to pursue, but then I kind of got derailed with being sick for a while. So then I'm picking it up and I'm like, oh, but I don't resonate with that anymore. Oh, that's interesting. That isn't even what I want anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what do I want? Oh, yes. Let's figure that out, Colleen. And then I kind of, you said something to us the other day about we've been holding on to the rung. So many of us from the first waivers and the second waivers too, but we've been holding that rung of the ladder for so long, waiting to go to the next one and have
Yes.
everybody else hold us up.
Yes.
We've been in it for a long time.
Yes.
And when you said that, I resonated with that so much. And then I thought, yeah, and now it feels like I am going to go up the ladder. And so it's all new to me.
Right.
So and so I don't even know where I'm going to live or anything like that. So I'm not looking at where, I'm looking at how. How do I want to live? How do I want to be in community? And so I'm just exploring all of that because it's completely different than what I thought I was going to do, a year ago.
Yeah. And you know what, Colleen, 1,000% to what you're saying, because it's, for those of us that are exactly resonating with, you're in a new space now and you don't know yet which way to go or what's unfolding for you. You said it brilliantly. You're looking at how you want to live. How do you want to live? That is so important, because now that we've let go after holding for so long, and actually, I think the reason why you got sick is from the holding. Honestly,
That and taking care of Sheldon for 5 years.
yeah, you just, because I got sick too, and I know I was sick, not for as long as you have, but I was sick for a while, for a few months, 2 or 3 months, but for me, it came down to I had some grief around when, when the holding. I had grief around that, and it was accumulating around my heart. And I thought I was processing it, but I didn't speak about it enough because I needed to release more. And really, actually, even yeah, that was the thing. So there was just a lot with that. But so holding for so long sometimes can do more harm than good for those of us that have been really anchoring and holding the frequency, the consciousness on the planet for a long time, and waiting for the next wave to come in so we can pass the torch. And now being in this new place, where do we go? What do we really want from here? And that's why, like for me, that's why I shared that with you. How do we? What is next for us? What is next for us? Because we've let go, and now we can take a rest, more of a rest, right? And let's see what the others are going to do with all that has been shared now. And and we can be the elders, or we can be partly retired, or we can do sit by the river for 2 years and not do anything. That would be fine too, because it's all been right.
I often say, well, okay, yeah, I'd like a little R&R. Okay, a month will do.
Yeah, right.
Because then I got to get back to work.
Yeah.
But it'll be different. It'll be different. I'm just not sure how that looks, but I can feel something new is brewing, and it'll help us build the new earth in a more easy way, in a more ease and graceful way. So I'm looking forward to my next marching orders.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's so good. I certainly understand that. Now, what do you guys say about how much has our frequency been raised recently? Where do you guys? What's your sense? What's your wisdom on that? What do you feel like our frequency has risen? How much?
You want to go for that, Miles?
Well, rather than theorize, I can only talk about my experiences about that. And I've noticed that more happenings in my life are occurring where I feel like we're being looked after somehow. Like because our frequencies are higher, we're getting more brownie points from the universe. So, like little things happen every day. Like we're walking outside and I remember one incident where a lady was looking at the beautiful blossoms on a magnolia tree, and she apologized because she was in our way because she was blocking our view from the tree. So I heard her speak, and I said, I heard her voice, and I says, "Where are you from?" She says, "I'm from Moose Jaw, which is a place in the province of Saskatchewan." And I says, "No, where are you really from?" And she said, "Oh, I'm from Uzbekistan." Oh, I said, "Come with us." So just around the corner, there's this little market that we go to buy our poultry, and the people who run the market are from Uzbekistan. So we introduced this lady. She'd only been in town for one day, and it was like we were able to be instruments for her using a higher frequency to be part of that flow. So it's incidents like that when you take the trouble to ask somebody something rather than say nothing and just be there and take your picture of the tree and walk away. We didn't do that. We tuned in. And I'm noticing, and that's one example of quite a few incidents where we've experienced these types of magical moments where we were allowed to see how things can be when your frequency is raised. So rather than theorize about how high our frequency is, live it, be part of it, open yourself to it. Don't ignore the moment when you can respond to something in that moment, because that's when you'll find out that your frequency is raised.
Wonderful. I like that, Miles. I like the synchronicity of uh, the events that unfolded with the lady, and you being curious about where she was from. Again, listening is also a big piece there in being able to, listen and connect. So, well, we've almost been on for an hour. It's hard to believe that, because when you're in the flow, you just don't even realize how much time flies, and boom, there, there it is. And here we've got about 5 minutes. So I want to let the audience know how they can, your websites. Let's talk about how to find you guys, um, how to, how to sign up for your newsletter and also your monthly webinars. So give us first the social links, and then tell us about the newsletter, and then tell us about the webinar so that people can put it on their calendar, or look up some information and join you there.
Well, you're in luck, folks, because this coming Sunday, one of our very favorite guests is going to be with us. His name is Jared Rand. And Jared Rand is like a galactic philosopher. And the kind of questions we've been talking about today, he's going to be able to tell us things that we couldn't believe were possible, but maybe possible. So we love having him on. We get some of our biggest turnouts when he comes. If you've never heard Jared speak, you've got to come and see it, because he's worth listening to. So you can find that information by going to our website. It's www.paoweb.com. And on there, if you look at our little pictures, you'll see live webinars. So just click on that, and it'll take you to a place where you can read about what we're going to talk about, and you'll be able to register for the webinar. And Colleen, please tell them about your wonderful newsletters.
You can sign up also at the website, paoweb.com, and there's newsletter. It doesn't cost anything, and I put it out, like I said earlier, 5 to 6 times a week, and a lot of people like it, especially if they're older. A lot of our old timers that have been with Sheldon for the last 25 years, they're, in their 70s and 80s, and they like me to send them something so they don't have to go looking for it. So I get a letter all the time thanking me for the articles that I put out. So just keep your vibration high. Actually, if you read them every day, your vibration will be higher.
And if you've never been to our website, one of the links there is called You Are Becoming a Galactic Human. And if you click on it, you will be able to see some amazing webinars by Sheldon that are free, that talk about what it's like to become a galactic human. And there's all kinds of interesting other webinars and fragments of webinars that you can listen to that will give you a very good idea of what the PAO is all about. So we sure encourage you to come and discover this wonderful information.
And in July, we'll be having Cornelia, and we'll be interviewing her.
Yeah, that's gonna be so fun. I'm excited that we crossed paths again, and that we're ready for this next level of unfolding that's taking place, that we're navigating in these times. So it's exciting to have you on, and also introduce you to the world in a way that you haven't been, because you've been on the other end, is interviewing all
Right.
these amazing people, and over the years, and now you're on the screen being interviewed. So I think this is just great. And we've decided that we're gonna come on monthly here with Colleen and Miles, and they have so much amazing consciousness and wisdom to share, that we're going to bring them on once a month, and then you can look forward to that. Next month we will be having them on here again on June the 20th. It's going to be on a Tuesday, and it's at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I want to thank the Facebook audience right now that's watching us. There's definitely quite a few people here that have stayed with us the entire hour, which is that means so much, you guys, because we know, how short our attention span is at times, but we also know that, where you put your energy is the place of what you value. And that means a lot, and it means a lot to have you tune in. And so do you have any final words that you want to say before we close out? We have just a few seconds. Colleen and Miles.
I'll just say Salamat Jah, which is Syrian for be in joy. It's kind of like aloha. It's how you greet each other, and it's how you say goodbye to each other. Salamat ja, be enjoy.
Salamat ja.
And
What about you, Miles?
I'm going to give you a virtual hug like this. And this is my thanks in Canadian.
That's great. That's great. Salamat ja, everyone. We'll see you again. Thank you and take good care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cornelia.
Thanks, Cornelia.